2020 season, they played 3 games here. They went 2-1 that year. Their second win of that series was against Wofford, and we're underway between a couple of upstate rivals that have been playing basketball for a long time. Paladins in the white, Alex Hunter, Jalen Slauson trying to get the regular season sweep.
We will see an awful lot of man-to-man between both teams.
Patterson takes it away for the Terriers. Morgan Safford ahead. And on his way to the basket, he's fouled. A Wofford team that's in pretty much a 8 or 9 man rotation. They had a key personnel loss earlier in the season when Messiah Jones was lost to injury for the year after 5 games. But that group right there will get the bulk of the minutes.
It will. With Jones out, the rotation changed immediately. Multiple guys thrust into roles. Confidence has been the key for many of these guys playing major minutes.
Morgan Safford at 8 points in the first meeting, just 55% from the line this season for the 6'5", 190-pound sophomore, but he gets the first point of the game.
He's a solid shooter. Hasn't shot to 3 real well this season, but he's really a glue guy for them, and he's been a sometime starter, sometime role guy, but has accepted really his role for this team.
Alex Hunter with the ball, closing in on 300 career-made 3-pointers. Bothwell for the Paladins does a little bit of everything. Working inside, B.J. Mack got a hand on it for the Terriers. It'll stay in the Furman end.
You see Bothwell there. He is in a talented backcourt, if you will, although some seniors starting here this afternoon. Jalen Pugh getting the start along with Hunter, Robert Swanson, and Conley Garrison, the 4 seniors or graduates that were honored here before tip-off.
Garrison had to go off his legs. Shot clock down to 6. Let's see if Foster and Bothwell realize it. Bothwell does from way outside. And the rebound taken down by B.J. Mack. Getting defensive rebounds was an issue for Wofford in that 25-point loss earlier in the season against the Paladins.
Yeah, and that's something certainly to watch here early and often.
There's a guy you don't want to see get the inside line on you. B.J. Mack makes it an early 4-0 advantage.
2 empty possessions thus far for the Paladins. A turnover and then a late long 3 as the shot clock went down. They've got to smooth things out.
Hunter from outside. And Bothwell tried to save it. Alex Hunter was 7 of 14 on 3-pointers the other night in a Furman win in Western Carolina. He's kind of been up and down over the past few weeks.
He has. It's interesting. I mean, he's 3rd in the Southern Conference in three-point field goals made. Over 3 a game is his average. But to your point, it has been up and down a little bit here in SoCon play since the turn of the year. Ryan
Larson, senior point guard for the Terrier team. Part of that 30-win squad back in the 2018 and 19 season. Klesmit, second leading scorer. He'll get a lot of attention, and he'll fire for the first time. Max Klesmit, off that good effort the other night against the Citadel, was just 1 of 3 on 3-pointers for his only scoring in the first meeting.
Yeah, that one looked good, and that's a good sign if you're a Terrier fan. This is a guy who was all freshman a year ago, but has really taken his game up a full level.
Slauson stepping out for the Paladins. Safford, one of the better rebounders at 6'5" on the Wofford team. Terriers a chance to build on an early 7-0 advantage here in the Well.
Well, they've rebounded and defended well. Their offense seems very smooth right now, getting what they want.
Larson off the dribble. Brian Larson, 40% beyond the arc. Bob Ritchie, the Furman head coach, forced to use an early timeout. A 10-0 start for the Wofford Terriers.
Boy, you couldn't have expected anything better for Wofford at a noon tip. They were ready right from the jump. But they have absolutely defended. 10-0. Stick around, though. A lot more basketball.
Well, a 10-0 start for the Wofford Terriers on the Furman Paladins. We welcome you back in. Mike Bothwell, his team had the quick start and got the big win in Spartanburg back in late January. And the Paladins trying to work out of an early deficit here, but so far it's been the Terriers that have brought the energy.
Well, it's been energy. It's been focus at the defensive end. Yes, they've made shots, but their defense has been solid, deflections, and they've limited the Paladins to just 1 shot.
First foul in the game on the Wofford team.
If you're Furman, you've got to try to move the ball, keep good spacing, and get guys in the right positions. Yet another turnover.
Second turnover so far for the Paladins. Larson lost his footing. Slauson comes away with it for the Paladins.
Good transition defense there by Conley Garrison.
Slauson feeding Hunter. Hunter had the angle on Mack. He'll kick it out. Plenty of time on the shot clock. Slauson on Mack. Couple of potential all-SoCon players do battle there, and B.J. Mack picking up his first personal.
That is a very interesting matchup to watch. Mack thought he went straight up. Clearly there was a little bit of contact there, but to your point, Pete, Slauson and Mack, two of the best, big players, if you will. Watch the replay, the spin move, and Slauson comes back to try to go over that left shoulder, which he's so good at. Just needed to create something to give Furman a little bit of energy and try to get his team and these fans going here in the well. Been slow going here in the early 3 minutes.
Jalen Slauson, 77%, junior out of Somerville, played at Pinewood Prep. 4th year in the Furman program. And Slauson knocking down both free throws. First points in the game for the Paladins. Slauson in the first matchup at 18 and hit 4 of the Paladins' 18 three-pointers. Austin Patterson, and from the wing, another try by Klesmit, not that time.
And if you're Furman as well, you're trying to get some transition opportunities. Wofford been solid with their defensive transition, getting back to the house and building it. Playing Slauson one-on-one in there may not be, advantageous for the Terriers.
6'7" goes against 6'5". Slauson scoring on Safford. He has all 4 Furman points.
Safford is a better than average defender, but boy, that's tough to guard Slauson one-on-one. Terriers may look to have to make some double teams, some adjustments defensively.
Wofford 3 of 4 from the field so far. Shot clock down to 1. Patterson on the drive, and a shot clock violation, and a second turnover so far for the Wofford team. Timeout on the court. And we'll take a timeout as well here in the well. Wofford up by 6 on Furman. Back in the well here in downtown Greenville with Dean Keener, Pete Hannity with you. A 10-4 lead for the Wofford Terriers. Well, Furman showing a little bit of spark in that last stretch.
Yeah, finally. I mean, Wofford really came out and just threw that first punch. Bob Ritchie forced to call an early timeout, but you've got to give his Paladins credit. They're tough, they're experienced. There's time to recover, and they certainly have.
A couple of years ago, they played an epic battle here in the well, and Furman was able to pull it out by a point. This game, with kind of a different flow to start compared to that one, and a different flow, if you will, compared to the one they played in January over in Spartanburg. Garrett Heen in the game with Joe Anderson, who just had the ball. There's J.P. Pegues, another freshman, just came in at that last time out. Heen feeding Bothwell. Anderson right down the lane, known for the three-point shot, but the sophomore out of Maryville, Tennessee, able to get a couple right there, and it's back to a 4-point game.
Nifty move right there by the backup point guard. I mean, his number's way up this year. He's kind of the heir apparent as Alex Hunter steps away a year from now.
Sam Godwin giving B.J. Mack some valuable minutes of rest for Wofford, and a 5-second violation. So suddenly, Wofford has become turnover prone. That's their 3rd turnover, and I believe 3 in the past 4 possessions.
And for a team that really values the basketball and both teams take care of the ball, that is back-to-back turnovers right now for Wofford. Furman now much crisper in their movement. Good defense generally leads to good offense. Much more free-flowing, good ball movement.
Garrett Heen, open look. Sophomore out of Charlotte, 34% beyond the arc. In the first meeting, Jay McCauley, the Wofford coach, said too often Furman had guys on the wing all alone. And that was an example here in this meeting.
That's what Furman can do to you. Just in the blink of an eye, put points on the board. 10-0 deficit now cut to just 10-9.
A 9-0 run for the Furman team. Klesmit hit his first three-pointer on his way in, held ball, and the arrow will keep it in the Wofford end.
I don't know that Furman was necessarily just sleepwalking, if you will. It's just Wofford came out defensively, turned them over, made some shots, but the Paladins now just back playing their basketball. Degree of difficulty now for Wofford elevated to try to get some things done offensively.
9 on the shot clock as Ryan Larson inbounds for the Wofford team. Knocked away Godwin. He was the last to touch it. Garrett Heen forcing the defense. Fourth turnover for the Terriers. Paladins get it back.
Well, it's all about defense right now for Furman. I mean, you know they can score the basketball. This is a team averaging 78 points. They're coming off a 103 on Wednesday against Western Carolina in the win. All about how they defend certain cuts and sets, how they match up, and they match up well against this Wofford Terrier team.
Pegues feeding inside. Tyrese Huey can't finish. Mack back on the floor, gets the rebound. With that win up in Cullowhee on Wednesday night, Paladin snapped a 3-game skid. Mack knocked away. Heen scrambles. Another turnover. Wofford team really efficient coming into the ball game, averaging just about 12 a game. Anderson will be called for the offensive foul on the other end.
And Anderson just kind of puts his fist on his chest saying, yeah, my bad, I know that. It's just a little bit too rambunctious. Actually just should have pulled up right there at the line. Watch it again. Ryan Larson has those feet cemented. That's a pretty easy call for the official standing in the C slot, as they call it. Larson just so tough.
Gritty player.
Yeah, just leads the league in charges taken. Has been doing it for years. You know, you could make the case he is the toughest player, and he probably took the position of the toughest player in the league in Storm Murphy.
Murphy now at Virginia Tech. Anderson got a hand on that. Joe Anderson, you may think of him if you follow Furman as just a specialist, a three-point shooter, but he's really bringing a lot of the defensive end. 26 steals on the season among their team leaders.
That is a great point. Watch the deflection here again, and you know we've talked about it many times doing Furman games. They chart deflections. They just want to get their hands on balls to disrupt that defense. That's your point about Anderson. Not only steals, he's 35 assists to just 10 turnovers on the season. That's a 3.5 ratio. That is certainly more than what you want as a coach.
Safford has it rattle out. Pegues skying for the rebound. Freshman in the front court. Heen on Mack. Little double move inside. Rattles out. No good. Terriers getting another stop. Been a while since Wofford scored, nearly 5 minutes. Klesmit losing it with Anderson on his shoe tops, but it will stay in the Wofford end.
Right now, Wofford just has become confused, if you will, but really because of the energy that the reserves for the Paladins. Look, they've kind of settled into a, both teams, 8 or 9 person rotation, but in a day like today, it's senior day, but plus Bob Ritchie has reached deep down into the bench, and guys have come off and provided that energy that they needed after that slow start.
Anderson and Heen coming off the bench in particular.
No question, Heen has been at the core of the success defensively for Furman here in the last couple of minutes.
That was Conley Garrison, grad student, number 51 for Furman, who nearly got another steal for the Paladins. They honored him today among the 4 players who were honored on Senior Day. He has been an X-factor kind of player for them as well.
Yeah, transfer from Drury, Missouri, Division II. Look, he has scored over 2,000 points in his career, and Drury in a very, very good Division II league, so yeah, he can score the ball for sure.
Klesmit driving on Hunter. B.J. Mack, top scorer for the Terriers. Shot clock under 5, knocked away. Garrison coming out of the pack with it for Furman. Hunter the kick. And the Paladins will reset. Looked like they might try to score a 3 in transition that time.
They certainly were looking for it. There's Garrison.
Conley Garrison hit that 2,000-point plateau for his career the other night at Western Carolina. when he had 13 points, had just 3 in the Furman win over Wofford, but extends the run to 12-0, and the Paladins have their first lead of the afternoon.
Yeah, Wofford just having a tough time getting any flow in their offense since his Paladin team picked the defense up.
Terriers over 5 minutes without points. Safford on the drive. Big bucket for Morgan Safford.
That's
Scored
what,
just 2 the other night against the Citadel.
excuse me, yeah, that's what you need to do. When you're not scoring, you're going through a scoring drought. You just need to try to attack the basket. Slauson did that to get Furman going, and now Safford for the Terriers.
And they'll get Safford on the reach-in foul for Morgan Safford, his first personal. Furman began this game trailing 10-0, but all Paladins since.
Well, you see some offense by Slauson, but it's really been defense. The surest path to selective amnesia in a basketball game, pick the defense up. The Paladins have done that.
12-12 is our score, along with Dean Keener, Pete Hannity with you here in the Well. B.J. Mack, just 2 points so far, but what an emergence for him this season, his second year at Wofford after transferring from South Florida.
Yeah, a lot of that has to do with just getting in better shape. I mean, he lost weight, his conditioning's better, so he's more mobile. He's able to stay on the court more, minute-wise. He's cut down on his fouls, and you see it. I mean, he has flipped the script. He has doubled his point intake as well as his rebounding.
Garrison off the inbound, another 3. Conley Garrison, 43% beyond the arc, second on this very good three-point shooting Furman team. Paladins grow the lead out to 3.
Garrison with a 3 in every game except one this season. That is what he does behind the arc.
Klesmit through the double team. Mack, though, unable to hit from long range. Battle for the basketball. Back over to the Paladins.
You see, that was really kind of a 50-50 ball after that second tip, and you see both coaches just pleading to their team that that's what's going to be the differentiator right now. Along with the defense, who's going to corral those rebounds and limit second chance opportunities by the opponent?
Paladins a 15-2 run over the past roughly 6 minutes on the game clock. Slauson, strong move to the bucket. No, there's Isaiah Bigelow. Going high, the junior out of Greensboro. And a steal. Garrison able to save it from going out. 2-on-1 break. Foster. And he'll head to the line. A second foul in the game on Safford. So the Terriers were taking care of the basketball early, but this Furman run, in part because Wofford just simply cannot figure out the Furman defense.
No, and you see there's deflections, there's steal, the activity by the Furman Paladins. They're getting deflections, they're moving their feet. I mean, it has just been a collective effort, and it's not just one guy, and then they're taking off to the races. But other than Anderson's charge, they've been really good at picking their spots offensively as well.
Marcus Foster, a third-year player in this program out of Atlanta. On the season, 75%. When Furman wins games, they get a lot of deflections on defense, and they out-rebound. They're 5-15 this season when they've been out-rebounded, and they've just not been a very 5-10 this season when out-rebounded.
Yep.
So all 10 of their losses have come when they're out-rebounded. In the backcourt, double dribble to call, another turnover force.
That's just Hunter. I mean, nice call by Bob Ritchie. Let's extend the defense a little bit. He understands that his guys are now dialed in, they're focused. So he flips it a little bit, moves it full court. You know, watch Hunter just move his feet. Larson picks up, that's a double dribble. It's really, really good defense after such a slow start. Got to be happy if you're the Furman Paladins right now.
Slauson on Mack. That's the matchup they want to see on the low block. And he goes underneath to Slauson. Mack defending. Kick in the corner. Garrison. Had made one from 2 other spots on the floor, but not that time from 3. Patterson in transition. Out of bounds it goes. Austin Patterson, the native of California, missing on the three-point try.
Well, and with the injuries, right? Messiah Jones hasn't been with them, this season, but there's just a lot of other pieces with this Wofford team. Jay McCauley just doesn't have as many to look to at the bench to say, all right, who can I do to try to get that music going again at the offensive end? Paladins
looking to extend a 16-2 run. Garrison inside on Klesman. Slauson, strong drive, count it, and he'll head it off.
He is so difficult to defend on the perimeter because, you know, he is a big, if you will, that can put it on the floor. I kind of call him a stretch four. Watch it again. 2 dribbles and he covers about 22 feet of ground, and he's strong enough then to finish. Second look at it right there. All B.J. Mack can do, once your shoulders are even, defensively you're beat. But it's hard not to want to try to strip the ball or block a shot. More times than not, though, it's going to be a foul, which it was right there.
7 points in the game for Slauson. Paladins build the lead out to 7, 19-12. That was a second personal foul on B.J. Mack. That's big with just under 10 to play here in the opening half. Corey Tripp on the court for Wofford. Backup point guard Klesman missing on another 3 try. And Furman now, all the momentum going the Paladins' way. Wofford had a 10-0 lead. Furman could build a double-digit advantage for the first time today, and it'll stay in the Paladins' end.
It's been interesting because, you know, so many times it's hard to flip that switch. You know, it's really been a statement here by Furman to say, you know what, we spotted you 10. We didn't play real well in the first 2.5, 3 minutes. They weren't locking in and trailing on screens. They didn't have their head on a swivel, but they flipped it in a hurry, and they did it with some guys off the bench. And when you play good D, offense just kind of happens.
Heen from the corner. Can't get it to go. Paladins had a hot stretch from beyond the arc. They're 6 of 16 now for the game. Quick pass inside Bigelow. Godwin working inside on Slauson. Not the first time. Extra effort, and it'll go to the line.
Godwin, a guy, it really has battled some injuries throughout this conference play, but with him being back in, you can play him with Mack, you can rest Mack a little bit, but the lefty is a guy that can do work down low. He's tough, he's solid. Didn't get it the first time, but stayed with it. We've talked about it throughout the broadcast, is those second chance opportunities. Who's going to win the battle of the boards and score more in second chance opportunities?
3-point play for the 67% free throw shooter. And the Terriers ending a 19-2 Furman run. And they're back within 4.
Credit Wofford. Their energy has stayed there. You think their tires are going a little flat, but they've tried to stay with it. It's just that Paladins have just had more energy.
Shot clock under 10. Garrison forcing. Conley Garrison off to a good start.
You said, is he forcing? He was a bit as the shot clock's going down, but boy, he's got such a sweet stroke. No wonder almost 80% of his shots are behind the arc.
9-point game for him, all on threes. Godwin out high. Heen defends. Gives it off to Tripp. Down low on Anderson. And let's see. Well, foul's going to go against Garrett Heen. A bailout foul. Looked like Tripp was in a bad place.
Yeah, great call. Well, Furman they just continue to impose their will on an equally talented Wofford Terrier team. Jay McCauley just kind of talking to his staff to say, kind of what do we do? How do we tweak this thing to get some open looks and really have better offense than this Furman defense?
First foul on Heen, 4th on the Furman team.
Bigelow's got a matchup here. If they don't double, he's got an opportunity right there to go one-on-one and get answers. And
see if they'll say he was fouled on the way up. Anderson picks up his second. Got a timeout on the court. 7-point game in our Ingles SoCon Game of the Week. Back at our Ingles SoCon Game of the Week, presented by Ingles. Low prices, love the savings. And next Saturday, the Furman Paladins will be in the Low Country taking on the Bulldogs of the Citadel. 1 o'clock game. Check your local listings. Have that for you next Saturday along our network. Furman and the Citadel on next Saturday's Ingles SoCon Game of the Week. With Dean Keener, Pete Hannity with you back at the Well in downtown Greenville. Wofford's out shooting Furman from the field, 45-41, but the Paladins had a hot spurt after falling behind 10-0. And here we are in a 7-point game with Furman on top, 22-15.
Yeah, they just started to impose their will defensively. Took them a couple minutes to wake up. As you said, statistics sometimes don't tell the whole story. Wofford out shooting Furman percentage-wise 45-41, but they're just 2 of their last 7. Conversely, Furman started 1 of 5. They're now 7 of 17, so they've made 6 of their last 12 for 50%. But it started at the defensive end for Furman.
Anderson's gone to the bench for Furman with that second personal foul. Paladins with 5 so far to match Wofford. Isaiah Bigelow missed all of last season with a knee injury, but he has given them a big boost. Has kind of changed his game this year with the injury to Messiah Jones, one of their key inside players. Bigelow was more of a big guard earlier in his career. Free throws make it a 5-point game once more.
Well, that's what makes him so valuable. He can play multiple positions, particularly at the defensive end. You see him here guarding Bothwell.
Slauson backing in on Godwin. Took an extra step. Just the 4th turnover in the game for Furman.
Slauson and Furman recognizing that Wofford's not going to double in the low post. I don't know that they can because of the threes that Furman shoots, right? So now that allows Slauson to just go one-on-one, or Heen if he gets down there. You got to pick your poison if you're defending if you're defending Furman.
Patterson, good outside shooter. Bigelow, defended by Slauson. Gets it back from Godwin. Trip. Shot clock at 4. Luke Turner just into the game. Forced it. Godwin offensive rebound. And it'll come away to Mike Bothwell and the Paladins.
Furman dodged a bullet right there. Godwin came up with a second chance opportunity. Just was too far under the rim to finish.
Pegues, little up and under. And Bigelow, hard foul against Slauson. Didn't mean to. And Jalen Slauson picking up the personal. And that'll be his first in the game.
It's been interesting here as Furman has picked the defense up. Wofford, rather than creating better spacing, we see the last one, the drive right there, just a little bit out of control, and then the foul on the rebound by Slauson. But, as Furman has picked it up at the defensive side of things, Wofford's spacing has become closer and closer. Rather than spread out to create driving opportunities, it's caused Wofford to become closer together, and that then is in turn helping the Furman defense even more.
16 fouls on Furman here in the opening half. Terriers just 1 of their last 7 from the field.
And Larson back in, and you wonder if he's healthy. He didn't play but 23 minutes with a stomach bug against Citadel.
Rattles off, rebound to Huey. Hunter, beginning the day 2 shy of 300 career 3-pointers made. Foster defended by Bigelow. Hunter from the corner. Offensive rebound, they'll reset. Pegues did a nice job inside.
Luke Turner just ball watched and wasn't able to box out.
And Foster, pretty move, reversing on Godwin.
Marcus Foster, such a good story, a guy who redshirted out of Atlanta, Drew Charter, a small private school, and just really wasn't ready for the speed and physicality. It wasn't really a factor last year, and now he's an integral part of this Furman team.
Klesmit quiet since he scored that opening 3. Pegues knocked it away. From the wing, Bigelow, and a huge 3 for the Terriers. Wofford's first tray in a while.
You can say that again. Much needed points just to kind of get back within some breathing room right here for Wofford.
4-point game. Nice look underneath. Pegues able to find Huey. That's the future for the Paladins right there. A couple of young players get together and put Furman back up by 6.
Yeah, both Pegues and Joe Anderson will man the point guard slot once Alex Hunter moves on, but you're exactly right. You see some good talent here. Bob Ritchie just continues his staff to reload, and they do it really like in a different environment. Look, they arguably have one of the worst arenas in the Southern Conference. The administration has to make a decision. They cannot continue to play in Timmons Arena and stay at this level.
Godwin went for the rebound with a couple of Paladins on either side, and the foul goes against Marcus Foster of Furman.
Let me close the loop on that, right? I mean, what Nico Medved started 6-7 years ago, and with Bob Ritchie as an assistant, and now what his staff, they continue to do here with, look, there are fan bases that are bigger around this league. There are certainly arenas that are much better, and all the other things that you got to battle. Now look, the Furman University, it can sell itself academically in the beauty, but there has to be some decisions made at a high level as to what are we going to do in order to keep this program at a very high level.
Godwin can't get the roll in the second attempt, 1 of 2 from the line, but a 5-point game. Quick move to the bucket. Garrison, boy, contact by Klesman. Basket goes. Furman fans, I think, thought there would be a whistle, but Conley Garrison off to a good start in his senior day. 11 points for the Drury transfer.
Boy, my goodness. You are no longer in the MIAA, the Missouri Intercollegiate Athletic Association, and he still finished with contact. Terrific move.
Austin Patterson out high. Paladins have limited the Terriers to just 3 of 9 beyond the arc so far. Backing in, little fadeaway action for Bigelow, and Slauson, the Furman rebound. Paladins another opportunity to build the lead to as many as 10 points.
Again, Godwin's not even hedging down, just allowing Slauson to do what he wants. He finds the open man in the corner.
Foster, the offensive rebound. Marcus Foster, long and athletic, and Furman extends the lead out to 9. Paladins, an infusion of energy as the first half has gone on our Ingles SoCon Game of the Week. Second to last regular season weekend of the Southern Conference, and around the SoCon, three-pointers flying all over the place for most of this year. In all of NCAA Division I, roughly 6 of the top 15 three-point shooting teams have been in this conference. That's still essentially the case. The Chattanooga Mocs, they were stunned on their home court by UNCG the other night, but they continue to set the pace. And again, several teams with a real good look in terms of their overall record.
Yeah, I think by the time we get to Asheville, which is hard to believe it's just 2 weeks away, partner, but I mean, you've got a chance at what, maybe 6-7 teams with potentially 20 wins. Now, you know, VMI and this Wofford team will need a little wind in their sails. They're at 15, but yeah, it's just another great year in men's basketball in the Southern Conference. It's been that way now for, you know, the better part of 5 or 6 years.
Bob Ritchie and the Furman Paladins over the past 5 years, they and UNCG have accumulated the most Southern Conference wins. And they're 2 of roughly 5 or 6 teams you feel like in Asheville could come away holding the trophy. Ryan Larson would be key in any long-term success for the Terriers. Reach and foul on Foster, and that is now number 2 on Marcus Foster, and he has been a key player for them. He had 10 in the first meeting, but has really been one of those X-factor guys who's emerged for the Furman team. But you see he'll head to the bench, and Ryan Larson goes to the line at 87% for the 1-and-1.
Foster, a guy, like if you're a young kid out there, right, in this day of instant gratification, again, I said redshirted his first year, didn't play a lot last year, and he's redshirt freshman year. As you see Larson, one of the better free throw shooters, missing, everything kind of going wrong for Wofford, but he's paying his dues. He's worked while he's waited, and now reaping the benefits without, you know, saying, hey, I'm out of here. I'm gonna jump in the transfer portal.
Slauson with the neon green look in his footwear today. Gets it back from Hunter. Shot clock under 10. Mack back in there with 2 fouls to defend. Larson the rebound.
You said earlier, I don't think there's any question that this Furman team is as good as anyone in the league and can win the Southern Conference tournament.
Knocked away, but Patterson runs it down. Plenty of time on the shot clock, but the Terriers have been outscored 30-11 since building a 10-0 lead at the outset.
Well, collectively, it's been really good defense, but their one-on-one has been just outstanding.
Mack crossing over, and Slauson got a hand on it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the story of this half, or at least the last, 16 minutes.
50th block this season for Jalen Slauson. Tries to add some on the offensive end, and the foul will be called.
Boy, Slauson wanted to bring everybody inside the well to their feet with that. Certainly athletic and capable enough.
First personal on Max Klesmith, who was coming over to help B.J. Mack.
Boy, when you give him 1 or 2 dribbles and a head of steam, he generally finishes, although the foul right there is what caused the ball not to kind of lose its elevation.
You could argue that Klesmith had harder contact on the Garrison drive earlier in the half. But that time he was rung up for the foul. Slauson does a lot of things well, either leads or is second on this team in most categories. And he's a 77% free throw shooter to go with that. Top 8 in the SoCon in many stats as well. The Paladins have a double-digit lead for the first time this afternoon, up by 11.
Well, I think there's a number of factors. Thinking through it, nice pass there, Klesmith. But
another rejection, that time by Heen. Bothwell leads the break. From the wing, Hunter. Alex Hunter, first 3 of the game, number 299 in his Furman career.
And that left corner is where a lot of the shots have come in. That's where Slauson started in the previous possession. There's kind of a weak spot right there by the Terriers, allowing Paladins to kind of slide down into that corner.
Bob Ritchie, a bit cynical about that foul call against Hunter, his first.
I don't think that there was any question that there was contact right there. You can't question. Watch it again. Well, this is where Bothwell finds Hunter in the corner. He's got his feet set, and when his feet are set shoulder square, he's going to knock down a high percentage.
Larson, a rare miss moments ago at the line. And he can't get his second attempt of the day to go down. Terriers on free throws now, 6 of 9 in the game. Klesmith trying to knock it away from Slauson. Battle for the ball. And a held ball.
Larson, we said it earlier, he was battling a stomach bug. Didn't practice Monday or Tuesday. Drove down separately from the team, and Jay McCauley was saying before the game, really didn't warm up with the team. Just trying to get fluids and rest. Played 23 minutes in the win against Citadel. But you just wonder if there's some lingering effects. He's not played his usual, floor leader, floor general game thus far.
Paladins will inbound, 23 on the shot clock. And Furman, a 14-point advantage for Wofford, and has to feel like late January all over again. When the Paladins won by 25 in Spartanburg. That game, a dominant performance beyond the arc. Paladins have had much better balance in their scoring so far this afternoon. And interestingly, Bothwell, who just had the ball, has yet to get a point. Slauson another rebound. Give him 6 in the game. Hunter. And Klesmith comes away with it for the Terriers.
Hunter thought he had that second one, took it with confidence.
B.J. Mack limited, just 2 points in the game. Patterson out high, bad pass, almost turned into a turnover. Klesmith. Safford from the wing. Plenty of time with the shot clock. Mack almost lost it out of bounds. Strong move inside. The big fella gets it in. He's got 4.
I think he's the key in the second half. He's got to get touches. They've got to play around him. It's not only for shot opportunities, but Furman's going to double down and create some kickouts.
Shot clock off. Final 10 seconds of this opening half. Slauson. Battle for the rebound. And that's how we will come to an end of our first 20 minutes of play. The Furman Paladins are 15-3 this season when leading at the break. Wofford 2-8 when they trail. Paladins go for the regular season sweep. They're up by 12 at the half here in the Well. Nice column periodically on SoConSports.com, and some of the topics you have on there in your latest edition are?
Well, we try to talk about all things Southern Conference basketball, but many times it bleeds over into just the national scene of rules and NIL, name, image, and likeness, and how that affects coaches and players today. We have a lot of fun with it. Not everybody agrees with the SoCon ladder, the rankings of the teams, but it's a lot of fun, and I love working and partnering with the Southern Conference office.
Wofford playing the second of 3 consecutive road games, still with an eye potentially on finishing second in the SoCon. They've got a lot of work to do here in the second half of play. Klesmit on the drive and the pull-up. First points in the second half. He and B.J. Mack, Dean, if Wofford's going to win this game, they've got to get going. Klesmit now with 5. Mack has 4 so far.
Enough said. You're right. Mack's got to touch it. Doesn't have to always shoot it, but he's got to get touches 3 out of every 4 times down.
Alex Hunter, his next three-pointer made will be 300 in his career. Foster on the drive. Every time you see Marcus Foster play, it looks like he's just gotten a little bit better from the last time.
You're right, and I think a lot of it simply has to do with confidence, right? The game's slowing down. You know, we say it all the time, a man among men in high school is simply, a man among boys, I should say, in high school, a man among men at the college level, and it takes time.
Austin Patterson, that's a big 3 for him. He's 1 of 2 beyond the arc. He comes in 46%. They will need him if they're going to rally in the second half.
Yeah, he's a guy that can complement Klesmit on the opposite wing and knock down a high percentage of shots.
Garrison, and they'll get a foul called against the Terriers.
Garrison
Morgan Safford picks up the personal.
Yeah, Garrison, has been really aggressive today. Known more as just a spot-up shooter. You see him there. He's confident in putting the ball on the floor, getting to the rim. Didn't get all the way that time because of the foul. He's just been a really nice piece. I mean, Bob Ritchie said, last summer, he arguably is the best shooter I've ever coached. That's saying something for a guy who's coached, Alex Hunter and Jordan Lyons and others.
Slauson backing in on Mack. Slauson good from beyond the arc, not too bad inside of it, and a shot clock violation, although play will continue as Patterson came up with the ball. Larson nearly traveled. Mack, pump fake.
Yeah, boy, he held that pivot foot right there. May have gotten away with sliding it just a little bit, but he found Mack. And again, sound like a broken record. B.J. Mack has got to be the centerpiece of this Wofford offense in the second half if they're going to come back and have a chance to win.
Slauson knocked away. Klesmit, among the SoCon leaders in steals. Terriers forced the turnover. They were down by 12 of the break. They can get as close to 4 on that attempt by Larson, and Slauson the rebound.
Larson just a little short, much like he was on his free throws in the first half. Hunter's 3 can't go down. Boy, he's had some clean looks. Some have gone down, some haven't. He's now just 1 of 6 behind the arc this half.
Terriers doing something early in the second half they did not do in the first, and that's getting consecutive stops. At least not after the first 3 minutes of the opening half. But an empty attempt offensively that time for Wofford. Foster from the wing. And Bigelow comes away with it. He'll push the pace. Larson again, almost the same spot where he missed from moments ago. And just like the first half began, so does the second. A Wofford run. 10-2 to start things out in our second half of action. It's a 4-point game at the Well in downtown Greenville on our Ingles SoCon Game of the Week. Good start for the Wofford Terriers in the second half. They've cut a 12-point halftime deficit down to 4. Jay McCauley trying to continue on what he was a big part of under Mike Young. And a Wofford team that in his first season a couple of years ago played for the SoCon title. And a guy who's not only coaching a second time as a head coach in this building, but he played in the Well many years ago when he was at Georgia.
Yeah, he told us a great story before the game I was unaware of. Playing for Coach Dennis Felton at the University of Georgia, said they came in here, and due to injuries, he was thrust into playing 40 minutes against a Clemson team that was pressing, and said that was as tough assignment as he ever had. Kind of said it with a smile. I said it was tough, but I'm sure he enjoyed it as well.
Picked up his 50th career win the other night in a victory at the Citadel, and Jay McCauley will always remember for extra special reasons when he was promoted to the top job at Wofford in the spring of 2019, because he and his wife welcomed a baby girl to the world that same week. So added asterisk, if you will.
These two coaches share a lot of those similarities with, good young coaching, pedigree, doing a great job, young families as well.
Garrison was part of Furman's big explosion scoring-wise in the opening half, and he knocks down another tray. He's made 4 in the game, 4 of 5 beyond the arc, and he leads all scorers with 14 points.
That was simply just good out-of-bounds execution by Coach Ritchie, and then good spacing and passing.
Klesmit working on Pegues. Garrison got a hand on it. Bigelow shovels. Mack, another pump fake, and one.
Well, that's a nice extra pass.
B.J. Mack trying to get things going offensively here in the second half. He's got 8. He'll go to the line when we come back to the well.
Welcome back to the well, where Furman battling Wofford. Connolly Garrison with his 4th 3 of the game to extend the Furman lead to 40-35, although here in the second half, it's been more Terriers than it has Paladins.
Garrison, we told you, 14 points. He had just 3 in the first meeting. In his lone season playing at Furman, I think every team that's going to be successful needs one of those guys who's talented but not necessarily a star, but does so many things. I would put him in the same category as a guy like Darius Banks at Chattanooga, Sean Conway at VMI. Those have been important players to contribute points when needed, but a bunch of things that don't show up in the stats as well.
Absolutely. Well said. It was like Shakespeare said, know your role and play it well, and he does. That's a great analogy of some of the other players in this league.
And Garrison puts the Paladins back up by 6, almost on cue.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, for a guy that almost 80% of his shots this season in a Furman uniform have been behind the arc, he's been really aggressive and successful getting to the rim today.
Pegues picks up the foul.
Now there's been a couple of those, and look, if you're a Furman fan, you're upset, but at the same time, there's an aggressiveness that you like out of this Paladin defense. And Bob Ritchie has, whatever he said at that first time out in the first half, when they're down 10-0, boy, they have flipped the switch and they have been dialed in since.
2 team fouls in the second half on Furman. Bigelow was not expecting the pass from Klesmit. Terriers turning it over for the 10th time in the game.
The uncharacteristic turnovers throughout the game for the Terriers. Jay McCauley's team only turns it over 11.5 times a game, and now they're at 10. They've been among the leaders for years in fewest turnovers.
And that one right through the legs of Heen, so an unforced error on the other end. Mack was telling Patterson to pass the ball to Bigelow, and Bothwell will be called for the reach-in. Anything noticeable Wofford's done on the offensive end to get more flow going after they scored just 23 points in the first 20 minutes?
Well, I think more than anything, they've started to react better to that pressure half-court defense that the Paladins employed. Collectively it's been good, but I said earlier, individually, the individual defense just kind of manning up, if you will, moving the feet, active hands. But now you see a little bit better spacing, and they're trying to get B.J. Mack some touches.
Boy, Mack had too much of an open lane, got a little bit excited, and the turnover will be the 11th on the Terriers.
Watch it here again. Mack, boy, should have pulled up right at the elbow and then thought, man, I can get to the rim, but caused that double dribble opportunity. Turnover number 11. Another empty possession for the Terriers. You can't have that when you're on the road. It is so hard to win on the road. It requires a toughness and a tenacity.
Foster had a head of steam going to the hoop. Now Anderson from the wing. And it's taken out of the air by Bigelow. Terriers turned a 12-point halftime deficit into 4. Bigelow tries to pull him within 3, and he does from the outside. And Isaiah Bigelow able to drain the 6 made 3 of the game for Wofford.
Bigelow, a guy that can do a lot of different things at both ends. You like him because of his defense, but showing that he can score the ball here this afternoon as well.
Bigelow defends Foster. A couple of long athletic players. Here's Anderson. Foster Tripp came over to help, and Marcus Foster weaves his way for another bucket.
Well, you've said it all afternoon. Foster just continues to show growth in a possession right there that the Paladins needed. They were a little bit out of sorts. Terriers gained some energy after that three by Bigelow, but a big shot.
Klesmit's strong move inside. Native of Wisconsin. One of the many who've come to this Terriers basketball program from the upper Great Lakes region. Foster again to the hole, and Mack got a hand on it.
Mack's battled even in and out of some foul troubles here, continues to play aggressively. I think you have to if you're him.
Klesmit for the tie. And Pegues pulls it down. Klesmit went for the steal. Patterson, and the foul will be called. Foster in disbelief as he was scrambling for the basketball, but Marcus Foster will be rung up for his third personal foul.
Just a scrum started by Klesmit with the nice deflection, and yeah, you know, Foster kind of raises his hands like, watch it here again. Watch Patterson, 15 in black. Just gets clipped right there by Foster trying to get the ball, and just enough of a foul to cause Patterson to go to the floor. The officials may go to the replay. I don't think they're going to see anything.
Four fouls against Furman as a team here in the second half. I'm wondering what they could be looking at.
Well, I think just by rule, they need to see if that was an intentional trip. That's the only thing I can figure. When they're trying to determine, did Foster stick his right arm out to trip Patterson, which would be considered a flagrant one? I don't think it was. I think there was just bodies were flailing and Foster was trying to get his hand on the ball. Watch it one more time. Klesmit with the deflection. Now watch carefully. Watch 15 in black come into the screen. And right there, Foster just reaching for the ball. There's nothing there. That's just a good basketball play.
Pegues, though, on the push after the fact away from the ball is what they may be looking at. Now
so 0 and white.
So watch Pegues near Klesmit. And right there.
Does he use his right arm and put it on the shoulder of Klesmit? Yeah, that's a good point, partner.
But Pegues, he hit his head on the floor as well. He was in a lot of pain, too. So the officials had looked at the replay, stepped away, huddled. Now, two of them are lead official Arthur Volk and Christopher Malunik are back at the monitor. And Byron Evans, another fine official in the SoCon, has gone over to join them as well.
Yeah, Klesmit's arm was intertwined with Pegues right there, and Pegues nothing more. And was it somewhat of a push? Yes, but I think it was more just kind of, hey, get off of me. Watch it one more time from this angle. You know, and watch Klesmit's right arm. It gets connected with Pegues. See it right there, and now Pegues turns and says, kind of get off. How hard was that? Did it push Klesmit to the ground? I don't know. There may have been a little bit. There's enough, though, that the officials continue to want to see this. They're going to bring the officials together.
The head coaches will come over and they'll chat with them. Discussion continues, and you'll know how it plays out probably based on the reaction of Bob Ritchie if we see
Bob watching the replay monitor as much as he is listening to the officials here. They clearly see something if they're taking this time. You know, Bob's kind of arguing that the arms were intertwined, and I think he's got a point. He's like, it's as much Klesmit holding Pegues down to the ground.
Byron Evans will be kind to tell Dean what exactly they've just determined. And so what was
it was a flagrant one, considered unnecessary, and that's really the key word, was something unnecessary. Now Bob Ritchie's trying to argue that Klesmit tying his arm up with Pegues was unnecessary, but more than anything, the push back. And a lot of times it's the second thing that gets you.
You know, Bob Ritchie had the reaction you would expect, and Jay McCauley would have, that it was called. I wonder if it's ever been considered to, and I don't know if they do this, I don't think they do, if they asked the coaches and they said, look, here's what we called, here's the replay, this is why we're calling it, show them the video.
Yeah,
I don't know that that's part of the policy. I don't believe it is, but so we got a flagrant one on Pegues. That'll mean free throws for an excellent free throw shooter, Klesmit, who's 87%. But if they were to show the coaches
and point out, here's
in Major League Baseball, if they said, hey, you know, you're not allowed to argue anymore, but you look at the replay, what would you have called? Tough day, all things considered, from the line for Wofford, which came into the ball game 77% as a team, and Max Klesmit, we just told you, 87% misses two. He and Larson are both at 87%, and from the line today, Klesmit and Larson have a combined to go 0 for 4. So Wofford still trails by 3, but they get the ball back.
And you see so many cheers in the crowds, I don't know that they agreed with the call. They certainly shouldn't. They're the home crowd. I would expect them to. You see a good student crowd here, too, on the baseline for Furman.
For Pegues, by the way, now 2 fouls in the game. Terriers still a chance to get within 1 or maybe tie. Shot clock at 4. Mack, best three-point option for them. Can't get it to go, though, and Hunter, for the Paladins, will push it into the front court.
Now the Terriers come up empty-handed, no points in that possession. 2 missed free throws and a missed 3.
From the corner, Pegues remains the center of attention, this time for giving his Paladins a 6-point advantage once more.
Boy, mark that down at the 12:30 mark. All right, flagrant one free throws and three-pointer miss, so really a 7-point swing, if you will.
B.J. Mack, 16 straight games in double figures, but somewhat limited in this game scoring. Tripp goes off the glass. Corey Tripp, limited action, averages under 2 points a game, but that makes it a 4-point deficit.
Well, they went into Mack, and then you play around him. Good things can happen.
Jalen Slauson and Garrison play catch. Mack defends. And a good job defending by B.J. Mack. Another area where he's really improved his game from a year ago.
Yeah, he has. I mean, good. It comes with conditioning, comes with a mindset. He's just more confident all the way around.
He'll try again from 3. Wiggles that one home. B.J. Mack, 47% beyond the arc for the 6'8", 250-pounder. And we've got ourselves a 1-point game.
He's a guy that can knock down threes. That's not surprising.
Inside, nice job for Pegues.
Boy, terrific pass. Great vision there by Garrett Heen.
Paladins back up by 3, but Wofford trailed by 12 at the break, so things have gotten a lot more interesting, obviously, since halftime. Mack now is 12 in the game, just like that. Gets into double figures when you see him not really be much of a factor in the first half. Good job defending by Slauson that time. So each big man has denied a hook shot make by the other here in this last sequence. Hunter has it knocked away. Reach and foul will go against Klesmit. Three-pointers were a big story in the first game for Furman. They're hoping that's the case again today.
Three-pointers abound, not surprising by either team. It's been a game of runs. This one's a good one right here in the well. Furman by 3.
Back in the well, 3-point game. Those Furman fans having a great Saturday, looking to keep on cheering and cheering as our game continues. Talk about guys around the SoCon who have shown unbelievable improvement during their careers, and one of them, Jalen Slauson, for this Furman Paladins team. 9 points and 8 rebounds today for the 4th-year junior out of Summerville, South Carolina, and he has just each year gotten significantly better.
He is the main course for sure. You see the year-over-year increase in his stats, but think about this. He scored just 19 points as a freshman. 19, and every year has gotten better. That speaks to his work ethic. It speaks to the coaching staff's dedication to player development. High ceiling guy with a high motor. You can't say enough good things about him. I think he's just as good a person as he is player.
Klesmit picked up his second personal before the break. Bothwell quiet offensively. Beats the shot clock but can't get it to go. However, there's Foster once again to come up with a loose ball.
Second chance opportunities. They've been kind of far and few between here in the early stage of the second half, but they will be critical going down the stretch.
Slauson showing you a move. Mack went to knock it away. Travel is the call. And an 8th turnover in the ball game for a Furman team that gives it up about 11 times a contest. They and Wofford both very efficient with the ball, and among the SoCon leaders in turnover margin, they're 1 and 2.
Slauson just trying to go one-on-one as you see it there. But you're right, Pete. Neither team has been particularly good with handling pressure here in the half court, and it's led to multiple turnovers.
Tyrese Huey, true freshman they had hoped to redshirt this year, but he was pressed into duty back in December, and he has really continued to blossom. We did a game between Furman and Mercer down in Macon, and Huey is a big factor in that ball game. Just knocked it out of bounds. Paladin showing some full court pressure. Not so sure I've seen all that much of that in the games we've done of Furman's this year.
No, and I think Bob Ritchie, he saw that in the first half. He saw something where they can attack, particularly if Ryan Larson's not in the game.
That's Huey defending Klesmet. Lob, Mack. Double team came from Bothwell. Safford. Strong move to the bucket. Little Euro step through around Garrison. 1-point game once again.
Terrific move. Terrific vision by Mack. Didn't panic as the shot clock down. Got to single digits. Again, touch inside by Mack. Inside out for a shot.
Klesmet got a hand on it. Pegues fires. J.P. Pegues. Freshman continues to blossom. He had 8 in the first game. Knocks down that. Give him 8 so far this afternoon.
You see him now getting after, got some fresh legs to get after Ryan Larson full time.
And a 10-second violation. That kind of caught everybody by surprise. I think even the Furman players on the floor were surprised at that.
Well, you're exactly right. And you see Jay McCauley there telling his team to have a sense of urgency. Nice job by Bob Ritchie throughout the game. Look, good coaches know how to bring their team back when they're down, or back from defeat. Many times you just need to inspire your team by just paying attention, because they'll inspire you. Bob Ritchie, as good as there is in the Southern Conference for sure.
Bothwell scoreless so far today. Their top scorer, barely ahead of Slauson, who just got the ball, both averaging about 15 a game. Klesmet just picked up his 3rd for Wofford. We've seen J.P. Pegues there at the top of the screen really emerge as the season's gone on for Furman. He's their point guard of the future once Hunter moves on, but they have had very stable play at point guard as Foster on the drive, fouled by Bigelow. They've only had 3 point guards over the past decade at Furman.
Yeah, Stephen Kroon kind of passed it off to John David III, who's now passed it off to Alex Hunter, and he is clearly the point guard, but he will be leaving. He opted to come back for his 5th year, Hunter that is, but it's going to be Pegues and Joe Anderson, 2 really good ones that can keep the music going.
Boy, what a play by Larson, and it's going to go out of bounds back over to Wofford. Bothwell was the last to touch it. Reminiscent of a Storm Murphy play late in the first half the last time these teams met here in the well. How about Ryan Larson? So quick defensively.
Yep, he just moved his feet. That is great. And then he anticipated the shot and was able to get the strip and the steal.
Larson led the state of Minnesota in interceptions, the high school senior playing football as well as basketball. Winning guy was on state championship basketball teams for 2 different high schools during his prep career. 4-point game, Mack inside, cuts the deficit in half. He's got 14.
It's no secret in the Southern Conference. Offense has to go through B.J. Mack if you're playing the Wofford Terriers.
Garrison, good game so far, 16 on his senior day, and a pretty feed, and Foster obliges with the finish.
Again, really impressed with Conley Garrison in his overall game. His focus on taking what the defense gives him, not just becoming a 3-point shooter.
Foster has 11, back out to a 4-point lead. Weird flow to this game. A Wofford run in the first half, a Furman run, a 12-point lead at the break for the Paladins, but the Terriers have been really good out of the locker room, and Klesmet gets them back within 2.
No, you're right, and there hasn't been, even during the runs, there's not been a ton of smooth flow to this game.
Foster inside. They keep feeding the big man. He keeps delivering. He'll have a chance at a 3-point play. Marcus Foster has been on display this afternoon in the well.
He has. So is Conley Garrison. He's been scoring points, but he also knows how to assist to the high-flying Foster. This is a really, really good matinee at the well. Furman by 4.
Here in the well on our Ingles SoCon Game of the Week, presented by Ingles. Low prices, love the savings. Furman Paladins trying to get a regular season sweep of the Wofford Terriers and an 89th win all time in the series of these upstate rivals. Bob Ritchie trying to get a 4th win in the well in a 6-game play during this regular season scheduling. The Paladins began back in the 2019 and 20 season, and you see just what a great job he's done since being elevated to head coach 5 years ago.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, and look, a good coach tells you what to do. A great coach shows you how to do it. Bob Ritchie does that. He teaches the game of life as well. It just, a huge impact on this program. And let it be said, too, he's got a great staff. Jeremy Groh, Tim Johnson, and Jimmy Williams.
3-point play for Marcus Foster. You'll see the Furman Paladins next Saturday. Check your local listings along our network on our Ingles SoCon Game of the Week. They play their low country rival, the Citadel Bulldogs, who Furman put 102 points on when they met in Greenville. And the Paladins, with one of their 3 100-point games this season, coming in that contest. Patterson hit a 3 earlier. He'll go to the line and have 3 free throws upcoming.
Well, that is absolutely a cardinal sin, but you just can't foul the 3-point jump shooter. Watch Klesmit with the extra pass, and then Pegues just at the end there hits Patterson. But look, Wofford, they've got to stay toe-to-toe. Watch it again there. And dribble drive opportunities, that's generally where you're going to get your best threes or off of offensive rebounds.
Dean Austin Patterson certainly has an interesting backstory to his arrival at Wofford last season.
Yeah, how about last December 12th, he arrives on campus, and 3 days later, he's in a game. And part of the reason was he had gone to prep school, and because of COVID protocols, they didn't play, and so he was available to transfer it immediately.
Would have been in prep school last year. Of course, we visited with our friend Melissa Level from Ingles at the half, talking about the Ingles Southern Conference Basketball Championships coming up. 2 weeks from right now, Dean, we will be in quarterfinals Saturday, one of the great days of basketball anywhere in the country in the college game. But by all means, go to SoConSports.com and make yourself a part of the 2022 Ingles SoCon Basketball Championships at the Harrah's Cherokee Center, Asheville. A festive time. Great event. Shot clock under 10. Ball knocked away, and another turnover forced by Wofford, which has been really good from the field here in the second half, and what's now a 2-point game as they go for the lead, and Larson gives it back to them.
How about that? Just in the blink of an eye, Wofford now takes the lead. Who would have guessed it? When they jump out 10-0, and then Furman goes on a huge lead. It's been a huge momentum swings back and forth. 6:14 to go, just a 1-point game. Although, you know what? Would you expect any different when these two teams get together? You see Larson with a deep NBA-esque type 3 to give the Terriers the first lead here of the second half.
In an arena where Michael Jordan once played a preseason game. That looked like a Jordan catch-and-shoot 3. And the Terriers have their first lead of the game since just under the 15-minute mark of the opening half. So now they've suddenly got the win behind them. And just admiring the job that Jay McCauley and his staff have done since trailing by 12 at the break, and quite frankly, down the stretch in the first half, just looking out of sorts offensively.
No, exactly right. I mean, you've got to credit both of these coaches and their staffs because of the momentum swings. Either team could have just kind of packed it in, if you will, but they understand it's a 40-minute game, and they also understand what's at stake. It's February, and that means jockeying for position. Everybody knows everybody else's personnel. They know plays. Obviously, Bob Ritchie and Jay McCauley have put some tweaks in to some counters. But at the end of the day, it's about playing hard and just not overthinking the game as a player.
Mike Bothwell, top of your screen, gets the ball, has yet to score today. He was a big factor in the win in Spartanburg with 15. He'll kick it on the wing. Shot clock under 10. Slauson working on Mack. Safford came over to help. Shot clock at 3. Bothwell can't get his first bucket to go. That'll be a shot clock violation. The ball did not hit the rim. Furman Paladins now in double digits turnover-wise. That's their 10th.
It's interesting. You know, Furman, you know, in an even contested game here, and we've played, what, 34 minutes, and Mike Bothwell still hasn't scored. And that really is difficult, or actually you got to be happy, I guess, if you're a Furman Paladin, to think, man, we're right in this thing, and our leading scorer, if you will, just has come up empty. But make no mistake, too, when push comes to shove, Mike Bothwell is there at the end, and he has made critical plays time and time again since joining Furman 3 years ago.
Bob Ritchie looking out to two of our officials who right now I think are determining if the ball hit the rim, so we'll give you a look right here. I don't think it did.
I don't think it did either.
And if that's the case, do they need to adjust the game clock so they're going to go to the monitor and give it a look? I don't believe it touched the rim from that angle. What a great job our crew is doing today, and all the different angles we have in this beautiful downtown Greenville Arena, and that shows us right there. You see the rim vibrate, but not because the ball hit it, simply because the ball hit the backboard.
Yeah, no, that's great camera work. Couldn't ask for anything better. If you're watching here, you're watching at home, or if you're the official trying to make the right call. The rotation. There's 8 panels on a basketball, and none of those changed when it hit the backboard. It would have had it hit the rim. So
crew chief Arthur Volk is the gentleman standing, and to his right is Byron Evans. By the way, on a completely unrelated note, Dean, Arthur Volk, and maybe you've noticed it on tight shots during the game, bears a striking resemblance to the late actor Bruno Kirby.
I'll leave it to you to come up with something
222 fame earlier in his career. Then, of course, when Harry Met Sally, among others. I looked at him earlier and I was like, wow, he's a spitting image of him. But that bears nothing on this game.
It means nothing, but I appreciate it.
Nice turnout here. Third game of this regular season series for the Paladins in the Well. They knocked off Mercer. Lost a tight game a couple of Saturdays ago against UNCG, and here they are in a struggle against their rivals, the Wofford Terriers.
You mentioned a nice turnout here, and they've done a nice job. Jason Donnelly and the administration of getting games here, and really kind of, weekend at the Well and how they're branding it, and you see students have bought into this. It's been great. Equally, they've been really, really good at Timmins. But regardless, this is their last home game. Furman will finish their final 2 regular season conference games on the road next week.
Yeah, at Samford, then that game next Saturday on our network, on our Ingalls SoCon Game of the Week at the Citadel. We thought around the 12-minute mark, a foul on J.P. Pegues and the Terriers having an opportunity would be a watershed moment. Perhaps this stretch is the moment that'll determine the outcome. B.J. Mack, he's heated up in half number 2. He's got 17.
Well, it's not difficult to say. When you look at this roster, he's got to be the focal point, and he has stepped up.
Slauson couldn't answer. Larson coming up with the ball, whistle and a foul. Rebounds. Wofford holds a 1-rebound advantage. We've talked about that stat not being a friend of Furman this year when they're in the deficit.
No, you're right. Right there, Larson came up with it, and just that was unintentional. He was just trying to pivot to find his way down the court. But that previous play, Mack just steps up and shoots it with confidence. He entered the game 29 of 62, just under 50% on threes on the season. So he's not taking a large percentage, but he's taking good ones and he's making them. And what that does is that stretches now, the next time down the court, he can roll to the basket and post up. I mean, he can play inside and outside. It's a difficult guard and difficult to figure out what you got to do to defend it.
Foul on Bothwell, his second. Larson, very good free throw shooter. His 3rd attempt of the day, his first make. Terriers from beyond the arc in the game, by the way, 9 of 19. Big story and a reversal from the previous game. Paladins so far just 8 of 23. Remember, they were 49% on 18 made threes in the first meeting in Spartanburg. Larson 1 of 2, 5-point game. Garrison, Conley Garrison, just when the Paladins have needed big baskets in this game, Conley Garrison has delivered. He's got 19.
I think just for a moment there, they thought there was a called timeout by Bob Ritchie, but there was not. That said, you know, Garrison steps up, and I was just getting ready to say they're going to need to make some more threes if they're going to win this game. Garrison, the best marksman, even though Hunter owns the Furman program record for most made. I would take Conley Garrison in a shootout most days if I'm playing horse.
Speaking of guys who can shoot, we haven't seen a whole lot of Joe Anderson since that Furman spurt in the opening half. Remember, he got into some early foul trouble with a couple of first half fouls. Larson drives. Bothwell trailed, might have gotten a hand on it. Safford knocking it away to a teammate. Larson off the pump fake, losing Hunter briefly. Here's Bigelow. And Mack to Safford. And Garrison will be called for the foul.
Boy, you gotta love the toughness of both sides. The stick-to-itiveness, if you will. You know, Mack, great sense of where his teammate is. Safford can't get it up. The call is made, but boy, watch Mack. He's battling inside with two white shirts. And he has the presence of mind to find Morgan Safford right there. Can't really fault Furman either, though. They're battling as well.
Safford out of Columbus, Ohio, played at Bishop Harley High School. Bob Ritchie just saw Conley Garrison pick up personal foul number 2. Terriers off day on the line. Now look at Bigelow coming over the back on the rebound try in a 3-point game.
You talk about Safford being from Columbus, Ohio. Think about this. You know, Tyrese Huey is also from Columbus. Mike Bothwell from Cleveland, Ohio. You know, just these programs going into mid-American country and plucking really good players. It speaks to the ability to recruit and the high level that these programs in the Southern Conference are.
Lob from Heen. Gentle touch off the glass by Slauson. 1-point game.
Yeah, that's the second assist by Heen. Great vision.
Stop and play. They may need to adjust the clock. Shot clock had been set to 20 instead of 30. And I believe they'll keep the game clock where it is, but Byron Evans.
Yeah, I'm a bit confused as to, you know, was that a shot clock reset? Did it start before the ball was inbounded? Now they've set it at 28 seconds. That was a made basket by Slauson. I'm not sure why they would reset to 28. Nevertheless, play on, and the next dead ball will create a media timeout.
Klesmit, and a reach-in foul will be called on the floor. If it's on Garrison, it'll be his third. Got a timeout on the court. Tight times between Wofford and Furman in the Well on our Ingles SoCon Game of the Week. Been a bumpy road during SoCon play for the Wofford Terriers. They've had 2 different 1-3 stretches, but here they are with a 1-point lead and still a chance to finish as high as second in the SoCon with another road game ahead coming up in the middle of the week at VMI. But boy, they could steal one here in the Well. They'd feel pretty good because they're in game 2 of a 3-game road swing in which they already have a win in their pocket.
That's exactly right. 2 of 3 on the road before that last one at home against Mercer. But hey, nothing easy. I mean, yeah, look, Chattanooga at the top, followed right behind Furman, but then there's that group of, 6 or so, and VMI, Mercer, and Wofford all a part of that. Everybody jockeying. We say it time and time again, every broadcast, that you really want to be in the top 6 so that you don't have to play on Friday's first-round games, meaning you have to win 4 to win the conference tournament.
Klesmit can't hit the free throw. So good all year from the line, but it's been tough for him today. He's 0 for 3. Paladins a chance to move back in front. I'd say the 2 most similar teams in this league, in my opinion, having seen this year, Wofford and Mercer. really similar in a lot of ways. They have many of the same strengths, many of the same weaknesses, and that's a guy who's got a chance at a three-point play on his first points of the game.
Yeah, that's right. Now, look, back to your original point, yes, there are some similarities between that the Wofford Murphy team, but Bothwell's the guy. I said it just a moment ago, scoreless until now, but he is so big and so strong at the guard slot. He has the ability to do that, and he makes big plays. Well, you remember here 2 years ago, he was the one that made some big plays down the stretch.
Gave Furman their final lead in a one-point win with a bucket with about 10 seconds to go. Before Nathan Hoover of Wofford missed a would-be winning three as Pegues went for the steal. Good effort by the freshman out of Nashville. 2-point lead. Haven't had all that many lead changes in the game. The Paladins now move back in front. Just our third lead change so far, our second here in half number 2.
Now they want to take a second off the shot clock, and rightfully so on that. Furman continues to apply full court pressure, really forcing somebody else other than Larson to have to bring it up.
Remember, Wofford earlier in this half had a 10-second violation. No doubt that's on their minds as Larson clears. Larson, good second half for him. He's got 10 in the game.
Mack doing everything he can to try to get the ball, but Klesmith with a good individual move right there.
What a spin move on a good defender as well. We're tied for the first time in half number 2 at 65.
Spacing is key. I love that they're putting the ball in Bothwell's hands to start things.
Bothwell had 30 points in his season debut. That big win for Furman on the road at Louisville. He is an explosive scorer. Big game the other night. 25 at Western Carolina. That's another big weapon, and the Paladins move back in front.
It is. I mean, the big three, if you will, Hunter, Slauson, and Bothwell, they all can beat you, and they can beat you in different ways. Slauson, more of an inside guy, but boy, he can knock down the three, much like Mack as well.
Yeah, he's a 34% three-point shooter. Three-point game coming up on 2 to go in regulation. See if Wofford tries for the tray. They will, and Klesmith can't get it to go. Safford backside save. Larson. Now Bigelow. Inside Mack. Gets the handle. Can't get it off the glass. Slauson comes away with it, and a foul is called.
Boy, terrific defense right there by Slauson. Wofford had the second chance opportunity, and he just went right at Mack right there. Didn't get the block, but there was enough of an interference to alter it. Watch it. This is a better angle right there. Nice job. He may, in fact, have gotten enough of it, but he comes up with a rebound, and then Bigelow with the foul. Terrific individual defensive effort by Jalen Slauson after the three at the other end.
Slauson 77%, makes the front end of the 1-and-1. Bigelow just picked up his third foul for the Terriers. And now a chance to make it a 5-point lead. Furman scored 75 in their win against Wofford earlier in the year. They hit the 70-point mark right here, but chances are they need to get close to that 75 to win this afternoon. Big
gotta love the environment as well, right? I mean, you're not at Timmons where you've been so good, but boy, the crowd here at the Well absolutely into it as should be.
Back to Klesmith. Back out to Mack. Defender closing. Keene might have gotten a hand on it. 1.5 to play. Remains a 5-point game.
Yeah, and I think Wofford can afford to play one more possession out without fouling.
Bothwell out to Slauson. Slauson will fire again. Well, that would have been the dagger. Bigelow the rebound. They'll get a late whistle foul on Garrett Heen.
That will put Wofford in the double bonus. I think that's the 10th foul. Watch the rebound here again. Bigelow just goes and gets it, and Heen unintentionally hits Bigelow in the air. Now the
Jalen Slauson, by the way, has just gotten his 6th double-double on the season. He's got 16 points and 10 rebounds today. Bob Ritchie talking to Alex Hunter. Big free throws upcoming for Isaiah Bigelow out of Greensboro, North Carolina. And he's been good from the line this year, 90%, but doesn't qualify for leadership because he doesn't have enough attempts.
Yeah, good touch right there. I would imagine you'll if the ball goes through, it's a one-possession game, you'll see some full-court pressure from Wofford. Again, no need to foul. You can certainly play this possession out. But you've got to get after Furman and attempt to force a turnover or some kind of a lob pass that you can run through and steal.
Bigelow, second end of the 1-and-1. Clutch under pressure. One possession game, just over a minute to play here in the Well. Paladins played a 2-point game against UNCG here a couple of weeks ago. So there have been some nail-biting moments. Slauson losing it. Steal by Larson. Timeout called and granted. And once again, the gritty, gutty Ryan Larson falling on the floor. Scrappy play, forcing a turnover as the Paladins give it up for an 11th time today. And you see his head coach coming all the way over. Jay McCauley pulling Max Klesmit away. And so 53.1 to go. Wofford will get it back, trailing by 3.
Boy, a little bit of extracurricular there. I mean, there was nothing intentional to start with. You know, great individual effort right there. Heen's trying to get a tie-up, and then as Larson comes down, I mean, Heen's not doing anything, but Klesmit says something back, and he goes out of the screen, so coach is trying to get everybody back.
And it looked like cooler heads prevailing.
Yeah, no, I think it did. And just, look, it's that time of year. It's February. It's a rivalry.
It's a preview of Asheville.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it.
Paladins head off to Birmingham, Alabama when they played Samford at Timmons earlier this year. It was a lopsided Furman win. Now they've got a game upcoming on Wednesday. Samford, a much different team at home than they are on the road. They pulled out a thrilling victory in overtime against Jake Stevens and VMI the other night. And then down to the Low Country next Saturday on our Ingles SoCon Game of the Week 1 o'clock tip. Right where you're watching this game today, we'll have that ball game for you, Furman and the Citadel.
As good as Furman is, and we were seeing it here today, and we've seen it throughout the year, that's a tough way to end Southern Conference play. That Samford team, Wes Glover, the transfer from Florida, has been terrific all year long. He's got help, but Samford's won 17 games, currently 17-9 under second-year head coach Bucky McMillan. They're 7-7 in the league, and they're one of those teams that, if things go right, they could finish 3rd or 4th.
Wofford Terriers trying to bump off a Furman team. Furman owns one of the 6 SoCon wins against Power 5 teams this year with their opening victory at Louisville. You just mentioned the Samford team. They own 2 of those 6 with victories at Oregon State and at Ole Miss during non-conference play. So the Southern Conference once again strong, hovering in the top 15 in the net throughout the year. They've pushed the top 10 and could well still do so. Another great year in this league as the officials continue to talk about things.
You're exactly
right.
right,
Our lead
partner.
official Arthur Volk continuing to discuss with folks on the scorers table.
Yeah. No, I was going to say Furman, entered the game with an 84 net. Certainly too high for an at-large bid, but speaks to how talented and well-respected they are within the NCAA's evaluation tool.
I think we might have some extracurricular. I'll let Byron Evans tell Dean what the situation is. As you see, the Paladins continue to hear from their head coach. So we had the foul on Heen that was called, I guess, after the fact. So what did Byron Evans, the official, just tell you, Dean?
Extracurricular technical on Garrett Heen. After the game, after the play, after the ball was over.
And as you can see, Bob Ritchie has just been granted that. I got to tell you, I think Bob Ritchie does have a case. I think Jay McCauley, the Wofford coach, would tell you the same thing. Ryan Larson simply fell to the floor getting up, and he was excited he got the timeout granted. Heen was standing over him. I didn't see any extra reach by Garrett Heen in that situation.
Well, no, I didn't see it there. Now, what I don't know what we haven't seen is Heen and Klesmit later on kind of got connected. Was there anything there? I don't know. But
and that was off camera. I don't know that we were able to see that. So now in the arena, the partisan crowd, as you would understand with a Furman home game, is watching on the
Well, they just showed the
Jumbotron
replay
above.
on the Jumbotron.
Yeah,
and that brought the
play.
reaction. Watch it here one more time. Larson with the steal. Well, watch this in totality.
What a scrappy play in this stage of the game, first by Larson just to force the turnover and come up with another steal. All right, so it was Heen trying to make it a hell ball. Heen is indifferent and just trying to, it looked like he was just trying to walk past Larson, and the way they collided. And then after the fact, Klesmit, I'm really surprised that, frankly, there was anything not called. And Larson at the free throw line, it has been an adventure for him today, usually very good. And he is now 2 of 5. Gets the roll, make it 3 of 6, and just like that, Wofford down by 1, and will be able to inbound in their end of the court. That looked really pedestrian on all players' parts, honestly. And I said on their end of the floor, that's where the initial indication was, but now they will inbound out of their backcourt on the sideline. And that is an individual right now, Bob Ritchie, who is seething, as you can tell.
No question about it. And he doesn't get to that point very often. He's a guy that can control his emotions, particularly in game. You got to be careful if you're on both sides now. The official going to try to clean it up.
Mack, little pump fake on Slauson. Shot clock under 10. Larson, shot clock at 5. Shot clock at 1. Mack to beat the buzzer. No. Offensive rebound. Klesmit. Shot clock is turned off. Game clock under 20. 1-point game. Wofford looks like they're going to play for a final shot. Will Jay McCauley use a timeout? Nope, they're going to play it down. B.J. Mack under 5 to go. He'll fire for the win. No! Knocked away! And the Furman Paladins again defeat the Wofford Terriers by 1 point in the well.
What else would you expect from these two teams? I don't know that we thought it would get to this, the way the game started and progressed through the first half, but boy, credit both teams for great effort. Credit both coaches and staffs for sticking with it and keeping their teams in it. A tough loss for Wofford. Nevertheless, a team that can get some wins in the second, when they get to Asheville.
Paladins improved to 19-10. They go to 11-5 in the SoCon, and for all intents and purposes have sealed at least second place. In part because of the effort by Conley Garrison on his senior day. Did a lot of damage in the opening half, ended up with 19 points.
Well, there were a night or an afternoon with a lot of different stars and heroes, none bigger than Conley Garrison. And look, he knocked down 5 of 6 behind an arc, but he had a couple drives and a couple of assists. You see it right there. I mean, he finished strong. He was dialed in really throughout the game.
Papa John's presenting the player of the game. Congratulations to Conley Garrison of the Furman Paladins. As Garrison and the Furman team now will close it out with a couple of road games, but a chance to get to 20 wins once again under Bob Ritchie. They've done that in 3 of his first 4 seasons. And in year number 5, they're on the verge of doing that once again. And with win number 19, Wofford falls to 16-12 and 8-8. So a Paladins team that gets ready to head to Sanford and then down to Charleston next Saturday. And Wofford gets ready to go back on the road to VMI coming up Wednesday before they close it out against Mercer at home.
Look, a great win for Furman. You know, for all intents and purposes, you mentioned kind of got that second slot right now. But if you're Wofford, as disappointed as you are, you know you can compete with anybody in the Southern Conference.
For Dean Keener, our fine crew, Pete Hannity saying so long from the well.